It took almost a decade, or even over a decade, for the next truly exceptional Saturday Night Live movie to come out. Wayne's World was really, I guess maybe that is why it is so exceptional, is that it was the next attempt, because, obviously when Lorne Michaels wasn't there, they didn't attempt to take any of those characters and make them into a movie. Really the first time pop culture was used more in movies, and pop culture references were until really Quentin Tarantino started using that more in his early films. Penelope Spheeris, she directed it. She did not return for the sequel, and it's actually
who directed the sequel?
What is his name?
Television director.
It's I don't know if it's Steven Surgic, who I think might have directed it.
Penelope Spheeris was an inspired choice to direct that because she did the two great documentaries, Decline and Western Civilization films, right? Especially the second one, which focused on hair metal.
That's the only one of those two I've seen. But this was written by Mike Myers and co-written by Dana Carvey.
And it's Dana Carvey's best film.
Oh, without question.
Right? And what's interesting is it's the character he plays is probably his creepiest character.
Garth.
But it's his best performance, and his most sympathetic performance or character, whatever. And he just never hit it with anything else.
That's true. Ed O'Neill cameo, who was hilarious in the film.
You got Rob Lowe.
He is fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie.
The very lovely Tia Carrera. Yeah, he is very. Rob Lowe has been a very surprising guy.
Yeah.
As of late. But and
it brought Bohemian Rhapsody back into pop culture,
back on the charts. Amazing.
I don't hold it in such esteem as Blues Brothers.
Okay, it's not a comedy classic,
but it's actually pretty good.
It's for that Generation X.
Yeah,
right. And there's a lot of original creative stuff going on in there. And you had that for Mike Myers, then you had the Austin Powers flicks, and then you had I Married an Axe Murderer, and that's it.
Well, actually, I Married an Axe Murderer was first, and then the Austin Powers movies.
Was that before Austin Powers movies?
Yes.
Or was it in between the Austin Powers movies?
I think it was between the Wayne's World movies.
Yeah, it was between the Wayne's World movies, I guess.
Who cares?
I Married an Axe Murderer.
Let's talk about this. Let's go directly to the sequel. The sequel's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not as magical as the first.
Yeah.
It's
they keep rehashing the same.
Yeah,
jokes.
it's more of the same.
It's more the same, and even they make fun of the fact that it's more the same, but at the same time, it's still kind of lazy to do that.
They do parody a lot of movies in that.
Exactly.
The Doors, The Graduate, Thelma and Louise.
And they bring in Chris Farley as a supporting character.
But Christopher Walken is the bad guy, right?
Exactly.
No such thing as too much Christopher Walken.
But he was just like a clone of Rob Lowe's character. There really wasn't anything
Only an
different.
older version.
Yeah.
And
A sinister version.
yes, Rob Lowe does not come back. And
but yeah, it's all right. We agree that we enjoy the Wayne's World movies. We think they're okay. There's really no insight to put into that. There's no big story
these are probably
behind them making it.
The pinnacles of this conversation.
Right. So now we can now step back, go into Coneheads. And this is the thing about Coneheads, the movie that was made almost a good decade after there were characters on Saturday Night Live. And the question is, were people clamoring for a Coneheads movie at that time?
I don't think so. I think they were riding that whole nostalgia phase and hoping people want to see. Sort of like when they decided to do a big budget Speed Racer movie, when it's most of the people who would want to see that are aged out of it. The thing I remember most is that it had a promotion with Subway. That's the biggest thing I remember about the movie. Other than that, you have a lot of SNL ex-cast members and current cast members at the time who were in the movie, because Michael McKean was in it, and I'm a big Michael McKean fan, so that was of interest. But Jane Curtin, Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin reprised their roles. You have Chris Farley as the daughter's boyfriend. You have Tim Meadows as a black conehead. You have David Spade as Michael McKean's assistant.
Adam Sandler.
Yes, in a one-scene cameo. Who probably is the funniest thing in the movie.
And Lorraine Newman, who was a principal conehead, and so she played the daughter, right? Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd's daughter. And this, she's obviously not the daughter.
Yeah.
But they do give her a cameo.
Exactly. And strangely enough, they have Dave Thomas from SCTV as the Conehead leader on the alien planet.
That's not entirely surprising. I mean, it's a Lorne Michaels production.
I know, but it was just shocking to see him in the film.
I mean, it's like being shocked to see Rick Moranis, a Ghostbusters.
Well, maybe I would have been shocked if Joe Flaherty had been in the film, too.
You shouldn't have been.
I'm just saying.
They're all part of that same soup.
Anyway.
They're all connected.
The film is just very disappointing. In fact, the only thing
I wouldn't even say it was disappointing. I was never a Coneheads fan when it
Well, it's
they were
not
on
a
the
funny
show.
skit. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it was just something more.
It's like a one-joke skit.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I watch it God knows how many times on cable.
Really, you say you even call it a guilty pleasure? Like you do enjoy watching it?
It's got some funny bits in there, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Oh, Lord.
I think it's about as funny as Joe Dirt.
Hey, that is my guilty pleasure. I like Joe Dirt.
So we go from Conehead. You guys continue. I'm going to play foosball.
Okay. Yeah, that's about that shows you the capacity for the next few films we're going to discuss. There was, I don't know which came first. Was it Superstar that came next, or was it?
It's Pat, the movie?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a bunch of them came out at the same time, and I'm not clear. Likely had It's Pat, you had Stuart Smiley Saves the World.
I think
and
it's
Superstar.
getting weird.
Yeah, It's Pat, but It's Pat never made it to theaters. That went straight to home video.
Did it? I thought it was actually.
I remember the trailer for it.
But I don't ever remember it coming out in New York. I think they released it in certain markets, but it never officially got a big theatrical release. In fact, I saw it on cable. That's the only reason I saw it. This was the beginning of the end of, I believe, Julia Sweeney's film career, at least as a lead. And the interesting thing is that even Quentin Tarantino did a rewrite on this script. And
Really?
Yes, because they were close from when he hosted SNL, and that's why
she made
she's
an
in
appearance in Pulp Fiction.
Exactly.
Right.
But this film, you could just tell.
She also went through that whole breast cancer situation.
And
parlayed that into a successful Broadway show, like one-woman show.
And then, unfortunately, she finally decided to do It's Pat, the movie. Where I don't remember by the end if it's actually revealed what she is.
I don't think they were revealed.
I'm going to be very honest. I have not seen it.
I seen it years ago, so I can't remember every bit and piece about the movie.
I could not bring myself to see it.
You're better off.
Lorne Michael went through this phase where he's like, you know what? There's money to be had in turning movies into the characters established by my stable of repertory comedians, right? But it's like, it was like he never asked himself, but are people such fans of these characters that they're clamoring to see a movie totally centered around the Pat character?
But you also got to remember, this was like the 90s where it was just all high concept, so it was like, okay, we'll throw some money at
But this is the thing, is that you've seen the film, what is it, an hour and a half of people just trying to guess whether Pat's a man or a woman? Is that, that's
there's also other jokes in it, it's not, but that is
what is the story?
Like Charles Rocket is in this film, playing the next door neighbor who's obsessed with trying to find out is Pat a man or a woman. But it was essentially watching the movie It's Pat. We just discover Pat's lazy, doesn't want to get a job, and gets into a relationship with another character who you can't tell if they're a man or a woman.
All right.
That's the movie in a nutshell.
Have you seen It's Pat?
I have not seen it. But
all right, you're alone there, buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it brings up the point. Sometimes a 5-minute sketch can't go, 2 hours.
Which then leads us into Stuart Smiley.